we continue to commit crimes on all these things. So I thought Nagesh Hegde is the best man. He's such a learned person, Nagesh Hegde ji. He has written so many books on animals, on birds, on earth, on everything he has written. And writing and speaking is one aspect, that is preaching. But Nagesh Hegde, I am very much impressed because he practices what he preaches. That is very, very important. And he has never made whatever he has learned, whatever knowledge he has got, he's never made it commercial or a business. He is a very, very devoted personality for the cause of environmental issues. I know he has been fighting every day for protecting this great earth, great nature. And he has taken it as a mission of his life. That is very, very important. After I became the State Chief Commissioner of Karnataka, we have been every year celebrating this day. Scouts and Guides, right from the day one, they have been celebrating, I think, 48th year this year. 48th year happens to be the World Environmental Day, which was started by UN. But this year, we give special importance. The importance for the reason we are caught up in this pandemics. And in my humble opinion, it is because we have spoiled enough this nature, we are suffering this pandemic. We do not know what is going to be for us tomorrow. I am sure Mr. Nagesh, being a renowned scientist who has dedicated all his life for protecting the environmental issues he is addressing today. I don't want to come in between you and Nagesh Hegde for more time. I have all the respects for his great integrity which he has maintained. I was puzzled when I read his book on birds. One bird for 11 days, 11,000 kilometers it flies without resting. I was wondering how is it possible? Then I had to ask him only through my common friends like Mohan Kumar Kondaji, one of our Scouts leaders, and many others, environmentalists. I came to know Nagesh Hegde. It has been my pleasure. And I know he wants to protect so many things on the earth. I'm sure all of you will join us in protecting this environment. Sir, I'm really from the deep of my heart, I'm impressed by your personality. You are a role model. I'm telling you. I may not be able to follow whatever you say, but for me, you are a role model. With this, for this great organization of Scouts and Guides in the country and particularly in Karnataka with 7 lakhs membership, today thousands of youngsters, maybe lakh also, are watching this. I am sure they will all take a message from these celebrations and practice in their life. Thank you, sir. I promise you, I will try to do my best till my last breath to protect the environment. That's all I can give as a Guru Dakshana to Nagesh Hegde. Okay? Thank you, sir. All the best. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you, Commissioner Sindhya ji, for your nice words, sometimes exaggerated versions of my personality. Anyway, thank you very much. And wish you all a very happy World Environment Day, friends. Especially this year's Environment Day is particularly very interesting in the sense that we are through a very serious pandemic. We are through a very serious series of crises. You know, we all have heard about the Amphan cyclone in the east, and now Nisarga cyclone in the west, and near Delhi we have all these locust minis coming like almost like a cyclone. But this is also a very interesting year because for the past 2 months, we've been witnessing fantastic refreshing of nature, refreshing or rebooting, we can say. You know, because we stayed at home, because most of our industries have come to a standstill, because most of our Traffic has become has come to the standstill. Our nature has time to recover. Quite a number of our streams and lakes have become very clear, free of all dirt and filth. The air has become so clear, and somebody even could see up to 200, beyond 200 kilometers, a series of the Himalayan mountains also. It's fantastic. We had never witnessed this kind of clarity in in our atmosphere, in our water, on our land, and there is silence all around, as if we have gone back 200 years. And this also gives us a time to think: what all have we done? What are our daily activities? Why are we so pathetic to our environment? Why we are destroying our environment? Actually, we have chosen June 5th as the World Environment Day, and we keep greeting. In fact, we should keep greeting every day Happy Environment Day, because environment is around us throughout the year. We keep polluting the environment throughout the year. We should keep on talking about the environment in whichever capacity you are, whether you are a student, whether you are an officer, whether you are a politician or an administrator or a police or a lawyer or a judge or media person. Each one of us has a very important role to play in order to keep this earth in a very balanced state. This year, the slogan given to us by the UNEP, World um, Environmental Commission, the slogan is biodiversity, and there is an answer to all our problems in nature. We must go back to nature. That's a very significant slogan. And in a way, we have gone back to nature already for the past 2 months. And then, what is this biodiversity? I would like to begin with a little primer on what is biodiversity. Some people say, when they say a huge cluster of greenery, they'll say, yes, biodiversity is rich. Diversity, we know. We in Karnataka, or if you happen to be around Mangalore, ಉಡುಪಿ ಊಟ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ವೆರೈಟಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸಿಹಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಹುಳಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಖಾರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಪಲ್ಯ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಾಂಬಾರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಮಜ್ಜಿಗೆ ಹುಳಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Diversity, 8 or 10 varieties of edible things, very attractive, very aromatic and tasty things are all over your plate. If you go to some places, maybe Gulbarga or maybe in Bihar, the plate is, yes, you have a paratha there, you have something like a chana pudi, salt and pepper. Not that I am not blaming them at all, I am not denigrating their food style, that is their style, culture. So, comparing a food plate in Bihar and in Karnataka, you can see ours is a diverse food. Similarly, you can see around the nation, whole nation is a diverse nation. The most uh, diversity, the maximum diversity we can see in our nation compared to, say, for example, if you go to Japan or China. In China, everybody is Chinese. In Mongolia, everybody is Mongolian. If you go to Africa, yes, everybody is Negroes there. If you go to the Western countries, yes, you have a Caucasian feature there. But in India, you have everybody. You have blacks, browns, whites, tall, short, and we have got diverse religion, diverse taste, diverse culture, diverse dresses, and everything is so diverse. So diversity is the essence of life. Diversity is the very essence of evolution also. So let's see what is it that we see in nature as a diversity one. For example, shall you go to the first slide? I'll go to I'll show you a slide in which you have uh, Antarctica. For example, you have Alaska. Can you see this slide there? Go to the next slide. Alaska. Yes. So if you take a notebook and try to find out the number of species there in that place, How many you can count? Yes, you can see a polar bear there. Maybe some seals you can see, some whales here and there, some varieties of fishes, maybe five, six different species. That's all. Now, if you go to a different place, for example, if you go to an oasis in any of the Arabian countries, there again diversity is few. I mean, what you can see is that the date form you can see there. You can see an oasis, and if you really happen to go there, yes, you might see a camel, an Arab citizen there. How many species can you count there? Again, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, at the most nine, 10. If you start counting the kind of mites that could be there in the tail of camel, yeah, 11, and some little crabs hidden in the sand, okay, 12, 13 at the most. That's all. Now, if you come to tundra, if you come to grasslands, here you can see a large number of species. Notebook, you can go from 50, 60, 80, 100, 150 if you start counting all the birds in the sky and all the little big animals and the fungi and all those grass and plant species. Yeah, it might go up to 100, 150. Now, if you happen to come to our land, Western Ghats, for example, and I'll tell you, the notebook will not be sufficient. If you happen to go to and stand on the bank of a small lake anywhere there, if you start counting the number of species, right from the bottom of the lake, all the kind of water dwelling species, then up there, grass, and all the kinds of uh, birds that are waiting for those fish and crab and frog, etc., etc. And then if you start looking up on the ground and the tree and the shrub trees up there in the sky, and it can't go on counting 200, 300 species there. So now we can clearly say which is rich in terms of biodiversity. Go to the next one. For example, here also you can see thousands of, what are they, I had shown you earlier Antarctic. Now we are going to Antarctica. You see penguins, 1,000, 10,000, 15,000, but there is no diversity at all. That is almost a kind of a uniform single species dominant area there. Again, if you get into the water, of course, you might see krills, you might see whales, you might see, yeah, other different species of penguins themselves, but no, that's all. Now, similarly, we also, suppose you come to Kolar, for example, some stretches of Kolar, you see eucalyptus, vast stretches of land, eucalyptus. This is not a biodiversity area. This is, I don't know what you call the opposite of biodiversity, but there's a scant variety of species. Now now we have a fair idea of what it is. Here I'm showing a map stretching from Chennai to Bangalore to Mangalore, almost a straight line. And if you start from Chennai, start taking an aircraft, or maybe you imagine you are a bird and start flying. Tamil Nadu, a large part of it is arid land, semi-dry land, maybe some little forest patches here and there. Come to Kolar, slowly, slowly it is becoming green. Come to Tumkur, little greener there. Go to Hassan, much, much more greener. Then you enter the Western Ghats. Then you enter the ocean there. Immensely diverse form of species are there in the ocean also. So from east to west, you have continuous diversity. Stop. If you stretch that line straight beyond the Arabian Sea, you know what you will get? You will get Ethiopia, you will get Somalia. But let's not go to that. Let's stop there. Now, I'll show you what yeah, the same thing in a geographical pattern. This is the Western Ghats. This happens to be the year of biodiversity. I'm going to dwell a little more on the diverse species, flora and fauna of the Western Ghats. For example, you come to this place. This actually is modified by human beings. Otherwise, this was a thick hill, and beyond the hill, you can see one of the top 12 top biological hotspots of the planet. There is, go to the next one there. Yes, here it is. There are so many rivers, rivulets, waterfalls, lakes, and of course, continuously flowing down and down, perennial rivers there, streams. And immensely from the top of the waterfall to the bottom, you can count the number of unusual species. Some of the insectivorous species also you can see, because that is a very peculiar environmental condition. Throughout the year, you have rainfall there, as far as the species are concerned. So there's an immensely diverse network of species evolved, both plant and animals. Again, here the number of species might go beyond 200, 300. Go to the next one. Yeah, amazing. If you start watching, if you have some little extra equipment with you, maybe a magnifying glass and a binocular, you can keep uh, seeing. That was the flying, what is it? Haruvavoti, celebrated in Tejasvi's book. So this is lion-tailed macaque, again very unique species confined to only southern India. Next to the one, I'm going to deal a little more. This is martin, again a different kind of species. This is red squirrel. Good, next one, next one, crab. Next one. This is very interesting. This is called, go back. This is called, it's recently discovered 3 years ago. This is called a Harry Potter spider. This spider has a Harry Potter cap kind of a thing. And then can you see there Malabar hornbill, little one there? Oh, each one of these species is so unique, and biologists are so thrilled to understand the biological cycle of such one. This I know quite a number of you are very familiar with this one. This is king cobra, the only variety of serpentine. This is only variety of snake which eats only other snakes. You know the other characteristics of this king cobra? That's the only snake which builds nest for its eggs. Some unique characteristics. It looks majestic. It looks so big, but it rarely bites people. You have seen many people catching them. It's up to 13, 14, up to 18 feet long, and it is there on a very narrow strip of the Western Ghats. Next one, please. And these are called the knee roots. These are in the continuously there's a swampy area in the Western Ghats. You have very unique species there. Some of the species are supposed to be 200 million years old, remain there unevolved. These are knee roots. The same tree takes its root up there and down below, and the botanists think that it is because of it wants to absorb some oxygen there. So some of these swamps are biologically very important one, and the species that dwell around there. Can you imagine? This looks almost like a plastic rope. Next one, please. And this is called Shola forest. Again, the grassland that you see, both grassland and a dense perennial forest there, they are very unique again. Almost the skies, these clouds are kissing the sky, and again, moisture laden thing. Throughout the year, you have good greenery, grazing land. That's why you have lot of herbivorous plant grazing there throughout the year. Because there are herbivorous plants, you have carnivorous plant species inside that. You have again 30, 40 varieties of mammals you can see there. This is the Shola forest. Next one, please. This again another different species of snakes. This, what cat is it called? This is civet cat. And coffee planters love this cat so much because if this cat eats the coffee beans, next day you can see this cat, you can scan it, coffee beans are still there in its feces, and it will have a very unique aroma. And that aroma, that coffee fetches tremendous price in the market, especially in Indonesia, I'm told. There's a great demand for this lure coffee. Anyway, go to the next species. Here is a list of very endemic species. It's in Kannada, Odakadre. It is a red spotted cat, civet cat, striped necked mongoose, brown mongoose, Nilgiri martin, grizzled giant squirrel, Nilgiri thar, lion-tailed macaque, Nilgiri langur. These are all very unique, large-size species. When you come down to the micro species, yes, you can see in this chart, there are 140 mammal species and nearly 510 bird species. Can you imagine? This morning I was in Lal Bagh. Yes, Lal Bagh harbors around attracts around 170 bird species. This is 570. And then you have reptiles 260, and then amphibians. People are still discovering new and new species of amphibians there. Such an such an amazing receptacle of nature's bounty there. Next one, please. And yes, can you see that? What I am showing in that arrow, yellow arrow, is a coconut tree. You can imagine now how giant could that be? It's a dry one. If you go now there, it's all fully green. What a wonderful nature. Next one, please. Such a thing. And people are trying to find out what are the canopy species. Elsewhere in the world, there are scientists specialized in counting the number of species in the canopy. They say they are altogether different. Some of the species never reach the earth at all. They get born there, they live their full life, and they become part of the life cycle there. But then the life will be over. They will never reach down. But unfortunately, what we keep doing is that yes, the next species is some of them are amazing orchids. It's a saint orchid. The next one is yeah, there's a bird orchid there. It is this looks like almost Thais. It is a dancer. Go back there again. It's almost like a dancer with a huge cap and some kind of a hexagon artist, the chest panel there, and the wings are as if it is understood human culture it's imitating it. Next one I can show absolutely like bird, and the one below that purple colored one, it is almost like a fly. It's a flower, and that fly stinks a lot, stinks only at night. It attracts male flies, and then pollination takes place. This photo I had taken in Tejasvi's Mudigere backyard. Amazing diver. This species, the lion-tailed macaque, wherever it walks, it is enriching the biodiversity throughout. While it flies from this area to that area, it collects lots of seeds, both in its mouth, in its paws, in its hand, as well as along its in its body. Wherever it goes, yes, this is also the squirrel species. Next one, this is the web of life. All along all through the history, we have been taught that man is in the pinnacle. Man is the supreme most species on this web of life. That is a wrong thing. The right thing is man is one among all this entire biosphere. Man is not in no way is unique. Having said all this, we now have to get into the ah. We get into the. I say what I am showing is that one one legislator is asking the people ಅರಣ್ಯ ಇಲಾಖೆ ನೆಟ್ಟ ಗಿಡಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಡ್ದಾಕಿ You extend your farmland, encroach upon the farmland, don't care for these forest officials. This unexpectedly it happened to me here. Otherwise, it was not my intention. Uh, some in for the past 200 years, especially during the past 50, 60 years, we have been entering into biodiversity. We have been decimating biodiversity, empowering instead of empowering people, we are empowerishing the nature. There are ecosystem diversity, which as I told you, in India we have 3 4 varieties of ecosystems. Himalayan ecosystem, Ghats ecosystem, desert ecosystem, and grassland ecosystem, and dryland ecosystem. Within each ecosystem we have species diversity. For example, so many varieties of species as we have seen in the Western Ghats. Among one species, for example, one genetic diversity within, suppose, take frogs, amphibians, so many varieties of frogs are there. So, this is what is diversity. Understanding that will help us to understand what nature is. But as I told you, because of the economic attraction, incidentally, today's slogan is what? Nature has answer to all our problems. In fact, that was the tragedy. For man's every requirement, he was diving into nature, he was hurting the nature, he was encroaching upon the nature. Yes, in the process, what we have done, we have increased our um, increase the number of species. In fact, each number, for example, enormously we have increased cattle species. We enormously sheep are there. Enormously, our birds, most favorite bird is a chicken. Is at the cost of the so many other mammals, birds. Whatever is required for us, we don't care destroying all other species and to promote those which are required for us, both economical, not only just for the money, not only for fashion, for habit, for tobacco plantation. I should have shown you in the edges of Western Ghats how much of forest is cleared for growing things that are not required for our body at all. I'll come to that a little later. I'll show you a series of quick photographs. What diversity means. This is one set of photographs taken by a friend of mine in near Banwasi. He was sitting in his balcony, and there was a papaya tree. He just set up a camera there. See, first what you see is um, quail. What do you call? Kogile. And then go to the next one. This is a female. This is a crow. Next one. This is a male crow. What do you cuckoo? Because the neck you can just recognize. Next to it. Next one. Go to the next one. What is this? Can somebody say? Marakotiga. What is it called in English? You can find out. And this is Malabar hornbill. Same tree, same fruit, and this is a female hornbill. Next one. Next one. This is a, we'll see barbet, another bird. Next one. We see butterflies also coming there. Next one. Yeah, squirrel. And the last one coming there is a very relative of human beings. Huh? Yes, he wants the whole fruit for himself, almost like human beings. Huh? See, sitting on a window, on a balcony, and one single tree with fruit can attract so many species. And remember, these are the species only they eat fruits and nuts. And there are other species which are, as I told you earlier, they eat insect, they eat birds, and birds eat other species. There are any number of species. Now we are, without caring about the wealth of the land, we keep on destroying. Sometimes for very, very little puny benefit. I'll explain that at all later on. Next one, please. Yeah, we have imported this eucalyptus from Australia. Go back to that. Go back to that. This is so what I term as the green desert. This was brought to Mysore just to so that Mysore had an excessive what we call aquatic space there. Lot many water bodies were there. Too much of moisture and all. So the Mysore Maharajas was told that this tree can absorb water. So it was brought to suck away the water, and now it is spread all over the state, and it is sucking water continuously. And that eucalyptus tree does not harbor any birds, and it does not allow any other species to grow underneath nearby also. Here is a yes, we have this Rangantitu bird sanctuary. Go to the next one. And then, yes, we wherever we see water bodies, we want that to come to the city first. It has to quench our thirst. This on a Ettinahole, small river, and they want to supply water to Chikbalapur, Kolar, and Tumkur, and of course they wanted to supply it to all these areas which are in the eastern extreme of the state, bringing water up the Western Ghats through the plains into a faraway land. Enormous amount of money is being spent, and then this kind of a decision are taken, keeping only the requirement of the urban people. And at times, you know what happens? One person's decision can really upset the ecological balance. There's a saying, you must have heard about black magic. eh? ಅದಕ್ಕೇನೋ ಮಂತ್ರ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಆ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಗದೆ ಹೋದವ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ಇದ್ರೆ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಎನಿಮಿ ಫೆಲೋ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಸಮ್ 2 kilometers away also. What you do, you take a lemon, puncture it with a needle, and the fellow there suffers a serious accident and he loses his leg. That kind of black magic is existing even now, and that is existing in bureaucracy. That's what our famous poet Puti Narsimhachar was jocularly telling. ಗೊತ್ತನ್ರು ಆ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕ್ ಈಗಲೂ ಇದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತವರು ವಿಧಾನಸೌಧದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತವರು ಅದನ್ನ ಆಗಾಗ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ದೇ ಪುಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್ ಆನ್ ಎ ಫೈಲ್, suddenly hundreds of acres of forest is destroyed. Suddenly, okay, permission can be granted for all the microhydal 130 microhydal projects in the Western Ghats. He puts a small signature there. Suddenly, hundreds of big companies start going to the Western Ghats, cut the trees, make a road there, put dynamites there, blast rocks there, and build a little dam there, and then destroy a stretch of things. 174 microhydal areas have been now created. They all have become near desert lake. One signature, one bureaucrat, one politician, at times one Swamiji can really transform this society by either passing a good message or passing a destructive message altogether. So it's very essential. I'll show you what is happening. There's a great demand for building a highway through Western Ghats. There's already one, two, three, actually four. The fifth one is being built there. There are railway lines being built there. There are power lines, transmission lines going there. And nobody knows how many nocturnal species lose their life, how there's a fragmentation, what is called, if you, in a vast stretch of dense forest, if you make a line in between, whether it's a railroad, whether it's a concrete or metal road, or whether it's a power transmission line, you fragment the thing. The species from this side to that side, there's a sudden demarcation. They can't move from this side to that side, and there's a turmoil there. We keep on fragmenting the biodiversity, rich biodiversity areas. Go to the next one. This is what we see on the highways, especially through Nagarhole and then to Kerala. Now there is a great demand for an extra highway to Kerala, and they closed down that highway during night time, but they want us to open that so that the buses can fly through that. Next one, please. This is lion tail macaque. We have luckily our forest department was very sensitive. I mean, for the demand of the people. We have created largest number of biodiversity protection area in Karnataka. We have very unusual protected areas. We have the nation's only one lion-tailed macaque protection area in Sharavati Valley. We have only one hornbill protection area in Dandeli. We have the only country's only sloth bear protection area near Hampi. We have only one otter protection area. We have the largest number of tigers in the country. We are nearly the largest number of elephants in the country. But then there are only the big species. Small species we are yet to count. But look at the destruction that we are carrying. The one thing that every year that used to happen is forest fire, especially February and March. This I don't know how to relate it, but during this COVID pandemic, we had least number of forest fires. That clearly goes to show that most of these fires are caused by human beings. Next one, please. And the number of species that can be. I wish I could tell you a little story, but we don't have to. I'll skip this story. Okay, it's a very interesting story. How about? Go ahead. If at all we have time, we can come back to this. We can go to the next one. We are running short of time. Go to the next. Yes. Uh, I was talking about the locust thing. Sometimes what happens, there is a kind of a surge in animal species or insect species. I can give you any number of examples. Surge, that means large number of species, suddenly large number of, say for example, insect, suddenly start spreading around. And that's a menace that's now being faced by Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, even UP also. Millions, why millions? Billions of locusts keep coming and keep swallowing everything that's green and converting them into almost like dry jadu, dry what broomstick, and they move on. And then we have this is a kind of an annual menace elsewhere in the country. For example, in Africa, they knew very familiar. It is very familiar for them to have locust migrating everywhere. But Africans, they eat locust. They're very familiar with handling, how to handle them all. And then, but we are at times, this year it has moved from Africa to some of the Gulf countries, and then to Afghanistan, Balochistan, Pakistan, and then to India. We have been following. There is a locust observatory there in Faridabad. We've been watching. Yes, it's coming from, this swarm is coming from that direction in the west. It is there in Afghanistan, slowly moving towards Pakistan. We should have gone there. We should have prevented it. We should have cooperated with Afghanistan and Pakistan. We could have helped them. Let us stop that. There are so many means of stopping. We delayed action. Yeah, I know we delayed action in so many other categories also. Look at the way the locust attack a tree and remove everything greenery, whether it's a shoot or a flower or fruit, or even the bark of the tree. They just make the tree naked. And sometimes, look at this. This is a Jodhpur town. If you look carefully, they are all on a concrete terrace. You can see. Actually, what you can do is take a spade and fill it in a basket. That you can do. What we have done now, we have started beginning the action quite late, and we are spraying pesticide, as I showed the first one. Go to the first one. We have been using stronger and stronger pesticide. Yes. But to what extent are you going to keep spraying it? All over the tree? Okay, one tree, 10 trees. all over the field, acres and acres, up to 5 square kilometers. One night they could stay there. But then we are using all kinds of pesticides. We know that we have been using this kind of things on COVID patients also, suspected COVID patients also. Enormous quantity of pesticide. And once you spray, it is not only the locust that will die, all the other species that are there are harboring that tree will be forever gone. And even the ground there will be so poisonous. It won't, there won't be any earthworms also. It's a total destruction. Partial, it was a destruction by the nature. Now we are going to do a total destruction. That's a very strange thing. But there is an easier, organic way of handling it. As I showed you, the last but one on the terrace, there's heaps and heaps of, you can go to that, you can easily scoop them all and fill it up in a bag and convert it into very useful organic manure. You can produce oil out of that. You can produce fodder, an animal feed out of that, very lowly feed. I can't recommend that you must eat that. In Africa, they do it. It's supposed to be very tasty. But food, animals' food can be produced out of that. Once you do that, for example, in this Jodhpur, there won't be the locust left there. Maybe only 10% will go to the next town. You could have used that provided we had a proper planning. That's where we lack. Go to the last. I'm coming to the last one. Yes. Oh, this is how. What I have been telling you is the necessity to understand the mechanism of nature, respect the biodiversity, and ensure that we are all aware of this, how to protect these biodiversities, how we can make further use of that. For example, medicine, for example, industrial uses, for example, such, and there need not be any purpose at all for economic purpose at all. It is required for our next generation, next generation. As Gandhiji said, seventh generation from now should also be able to enjoy the life as much as we do it. Are we ensuring that? We must ensure that we should keep the nature as sacred and sacrosanct. Oh, thank you. Oh, uh, I think that for the time being we can stop it. Mm, okay. Commissioner Sindhyaji is instructing or sending messages that we can have a little more. Can we go to the few more slides? Yes, I showed you earlier one papaya tree with so many mammal species and even insects coming there. Here is another similar photograph taken by another friend of mine. Here, one little fruit of a sapota tree, and you can see one, two, three, four, five, six birds coming there, two insects, honeybees and bumblebees coming there. One single. Oh, that is the kind of thing. Nature, after all, nature offers the bounty not only to species. In fact, human beings come at the last one. Before that, nature was offering it to anybody and everybody to come and take. But now we have become so greedy that only it's everything is for me and mankind. That attitude should be changed. I was Commissioner Sindhyaji was talking about some of the migrating birds. What I just showed you is a migrating locust. There are so many other species migrating. Birds, for example, this pectoral sandpiper, small bird. It from Mongolia to South America, 12,000 kilometers, it travels all the way. I'll show you another species. There are so many species which are migratory champions. This is northern wheat here. Fish this is just, it's a fish size. ಮುಷ್ಟಿಗಾತ್ರದ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಅದು. ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಅಲಾಸ್ಕಾ, ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಟಾಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮೆರಿಕ ಅಂಡ್ ಕೆನಡಾ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸೌತ್ ಆಫ್ರಿಕಾ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ನೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಬೇಬಿಗಳನ್ನ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ವಾಪಸ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ವೇ ಟು 14,000 kilometers ವರೆಗೆ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈವನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ನಾನು ಬರ್ಡ್ ತೋರಿಸಿನಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಹಿಮಾಲಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ದಾಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ I'll show you the champion. The migration champion is this one. Can you recognize? This is Arctic tern. From Arctic, ಅಂದರೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಧ್ರುವದ ನೆತ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಧ್ರುವದ ಹೊಕ್ಕಳವರೆಗೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದು 21,000 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಸಮರ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ವಿಂಟರ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಗೋಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್. 42,000 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಯಾವ ನೇವಿಗೇಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡೋರಿಲ್ಲ, ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನೆಟಿಕ್ ಕಂಪಾಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾಟಲೈಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಯಾಟಲೈಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನೆಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಕಂಪಾಸ್, and this itself is an amazing species. And you know what, we have been destroying in Karnataka, in Bangalore itself we have destroyed nearly how many 180 lakes have been destroyed. Some other 20-30 lakes are so polluted birds can't come here. And same is the fate elsewhere also. It is not only the chemical pollution, it's the organic pollution also from the cities. All the sewer directly goes in there. There is a green revolution in most of the lakes have become green. Tell me why? Because human excreta also enters. More importantly, soaps. What we use soaps and detergents. In India, we produce soaps and detergents using phosphorus. Phosphorus is a chemical fertilizer. And all that detergent waste, soap waste goes into the lake, and lake will have a bloom of all kinds of ipomia and different kinds of weeds there. And once weeds start growing, there is a suffocation of the biota underneath the water. There is an abiotic condition there. Oxygen gets depleted, species die, they rot. The further oxygen depletion, and the lake slowly dies. And when it dies, obviously fish, the birds can't come there because there is no fish. And when they come all the way from Mongolia, they come from the way from Siberia, they come all the way from Persia, they come here, they get disappointed, they don't know where to land, and they get lost because we are so carelessly using our drain to dump our waste. We are using so carelessly all the fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, 3 times, 4 times the recommended dose. What happens during a rainfall? It all gets washed down, goes to the nearest river. If you go to Kaveri now, near Sringapatna, you can't see water there at all. You can see only green mat. Why, tell me? It is because excess fertilizer dumping in the ground there. It goes there, it kills the river, streams. First, fortunately, in the next monsoon, the stream revives. But everywhere it's not the same. Quite often, it's a one-way direction. Now, coming to I was showing this, yeah, all the way from northern hemisphere, northernmost part, to Weddell Sea down here, coming 21,000 kilometers non-stop flying and going back. And there are so many other migratory species also. Have you butterflies? Butterflies migrate. Amazing. This is especially monarch butterfly. All the way, I'll go to the next slide. It from the Canada down to Latin America, it travels up to 5-6,000 kilometers. Not it. It starts from Canada, slowly, from Montreal. Its next generation comes up to Northern America, northern part of the United States, and then next generation, third generation, fourth generation, 15th generation reaches Latin America, down below Mexico. And again, after spending the winter there, they start going back, remigration. Beautiful, amazing thing. And and similarly, there's crab migration. Millions of crabs, especially Christian island near Pacific Ocean. near Australia, even up to Indonesia also, the crabs migrate. Sometimes, people who are concerned, they block the road and put a sign, road closed, red crab migration is happening, nobody should enter into, take deviation course. Sometimes they also count the number. See, here is a bridge. Can you think of a skywalk for crabs? This is built only for crabs. Crabs slowly climb up, go on to the other side of the road, get down. Amazing thing, isn't it? This is what they do. And they count the number of species. Actually, how many varieties, how many of them. Unfortunately, because of pollution and all, quite a number of become mutated with body defects. If we burn too much of plastic, you know what the World Health Organization says? If you keep on inhaling plastic smoke, your next generation can be born with birth defects. You may suffer from diabetes, you may suffer from hypertension, you may suffer from obesity, you may suffer from congenital diseases, cardiovascular diseases, liver disease. 16 kinds of disease are listed regarding the dangers that could happen by burning furon or biphenyls, plastic burning. And unknown diseases can spread into the environment. We have seen frogs born without a leg, without a foreleg, without hind leg, without even one eye at all. We do not know what kind of chemical poison we are sending, which kind of a kind of a, what do they call, pralaya, the chemical pralaya we are inducing into the atmosphere, Armageddon. So here, these boys, high school boys, go and count the number of, they can't count all the million. Take one square, 10 square meters and count the number of spiders passing through and how many of them have birth defects, how many of them are maimed, how many of them are very healthy. They count that and they prevent it. That is the kind of understanding that is required for us. But what do we do? In India, think of the spiders there, think of the crabs there. There's so much of respect. In India, look at this condition. Dozens of elephants die in railway track, despite knowing that this is the migratory season for elephants. Despite informing the forest department, railway department, electricity department, be careful, don't increase the speed of the train, reduce it by only maximum speed should be 15 kilometers. Don't go faster than that. Elephants may cross. This usually every year, this instruction is passed down to everybody there. But still, they so carelessly drive. And after all, what is this animal? This is our sacred animal, Gajendra, Ganesha, isn't it? In his name, we have God, all kinds of God, who is supposed to be the God of intelligence, God of knowledge. Next, look at this. Can you imagine underneath a bridge, railway bridge, an elephant stuck there? Recently, just yesterday or the day before yesterday, we know about an elephant, unfortunate pregnant elephant. It went to eat a pineapple there, and somebody had buried a bomb in it, and the elephant ate that. Its mouth it got exploded, and with unbearable pain, it went into a water body and it died after 3 4 days. What a tragedy, heart rendering thing. But then, yes, electrocution. We care very little about. Imagine if you are so careless about such a huge, majestic animal like an elephant. How can you treat our butterflies, our bats, our little honeybees? One spray of some neonicotinoid spray uh, for your paddy field, and all the honeybees are dead. Nobody is there to inform us. And how do we inform? How do we empower the people? There are any number of people. We understand that ours is a knowledge economy and we are all aware about everything. Farmer may not be aware about the importance of protecting the species. He may not be aware of the hazard of picking up any kind of pesticide and spraying it. He may not be aware of the existence of ecosystem. He may not be aware of the biodiversity at all. How are you going to teach him? How are we going to tell? Forget about him. We within the city we do not know. There are enormous pockets of ignorance. Any housewife who keeps old wasted food into a carry bag and putting it in the roadside, she requires awareness. Any person who puts a matchstick into a heap of waste garbage containing plastic, he requires education. Any person who is going on the roadside, crossing through that waste heap being burnt, belching smoke, if he is watching, every person requires education. Even if he is a lawyer, he should be told that this is an illegal happening. And according to Supreme Court, we can even file a case against the health worker, against the commissioner also. But no lawyer is filing any case at all. No police is filing any case against. No professor, no scientist, no media person cares for the waste dump caught fire, belching smoke 24 hours a day. So we need to educate enormous number of people. One day in a year, one June 5 is not at all sufficient. We have to have every day as an environmental day. We have to create an awareness for every citizen. How do we do it? When I say every citizen, it's not only a housewife, not only the bus conductor, not only police officer, not only lawyer and administrator, IAS officer, politicians, Swamijis. They all, if they are empowered, they can really transform the society. That's what is happening. We are going to Israel, we are going to New York, we are going to sightseeing Singapore and Hong Kong, etc. Why? Because it's so beautiful. Every shooting party goes to a different area, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, because they have kept the nature there. Why can't we keep the nature like that? Why can't we make other film shooting party to come out to our country? So it is quite possible by creating awareness among teachers, among lawyers, among accountants, among scientists, among pilots, every profession, every walk of life needs to be educated about the environmental importance of our. That is why United Nations has recommended think about nature. Nature has solution. ಪರಿಸರದಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಬಯೋಸ್ ಜೀವಿ ವೈವಿಧ್ಯವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ಅನ್ನೋದು ವರ್ಷದ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಆಗಲಿ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ನಿಸರ್ಗದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆಗೂ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಏನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಇವತ್ತು ಮಳೆ ಬಂತ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲೂ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ತರಕಾರಿ ಬೆಲೆ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಾಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೂರಿನ ಕೆರೆ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ವಾ, ಹೋದ ವರ್ಷ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೆಲಿಕನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಗವಿಕಲತೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಹೋದ ವರ್ಷ ಆ ಮಳೆಗಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ ನೀಲಿ ಪರಿಮಳದ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಅದು ಈ ವರ್ಷನೂ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿ. ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ವಾಟರ್. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಡೆಸರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ನೀತ್. ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ಅಬೌಟ್ ಯುಕಲಿಪ್ಟಸ್ ಡೆಸರ್ಟ್. I told you about green desert, mountaintop desert, water desert. We are now facing a very serious, we have created a very vast desert underneath. ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ತಟ್ಟುವಂತ ವಿಷಯ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಹೌ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೀಸೈಕಲ್ ವಾಟರ್, ಹೌ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೀಸೈಕಲ್ ವಾಟ್ ಬಟ್ ರೀಸೈಕಲ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಹಿಂದಿನ ಕಾಲದ ಜನ ಹೇಗೆ ನಿಸರ್ಗಕ್ಕೆ ದೈವತ್ವವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಿಸರ್ಗನ ಸಿಂಧ್ಯಾ ಅವರು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಪಂಚಭೂತಗಳನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಆರಾಧಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ರಿಸೈಕಲ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಏಜ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಸೈಕಲ್. ಐ ವಿಶ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ and I wish you again every day a very happy environmental day. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently all this time. Thank you, Karthik ji. Thank you, Madhu ji. Thank you. Namaskara. Namaskara, Commissioner Sindhya avare. Dhanyawad.
Thank you, sir. Exciting, exciting. You took us to a different planet.
Okay.
Madhu? Madhu? Madhuji?
Sir, I think you should propose
Madhu?
a vote of thanks to Nagesh, sir. Hello?
You only propose. Madhu. You are the right
You
person.
propose.
Come on. No, you propose here. Why?
On behalf of Bharat Scouts and Guides Karnataka, all our young people and our scout friends, I take this privilege to thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge. I was just looking through the comments what many of the viewers were sharing. They said you took them to places where they could not have been to, and the kind of knowledge I saw one person telling that I never knew that king cobra will not bite. So these are the informations what is coming out from you, and these are the realities of nature. And it was befittingly a wonderful piece of information on this occasion of World Environment Day, where the theme is biodiversity. You took them all and made them understand what is biodiversity, and definitely, sir, in future also we expect many more informative brain knowledge enhancing sessions from you whenever you find time. Kindly come and enrich the knowledge of our young minds. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Close on.
We can conclude, Madhu.
Yes, sir.